What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports Minute. I am Ace, and of course, this is J Mac. J Mac, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Way better than last week.
Way better than last week. All right, I'm
Not.
definitely
I didn't umpire at all today, so I'm not as tired as I was last week. That's for sure.
all right. Well, we are definitely so excited to hear that tonight. We do have some great topics for you tonight. So tonight we wanted to start off a little bit by talking about the Goodyear 400 that actually took place this past week. And so basically, the recap of that is Tyler Reddick again won the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series Goodyear 400 at Darlington Raceway. Now, he led 77 laps, securing his fourth win of the season after a late pass on Brad Keselowski. Keselowski actually dominated, leading a race high 142 laps, but finished second, followed by Ryan Blaney, Carson Horsever, and Austin Cindric. Brad Keselowski led the most laps at 142, but actually ended up finishing second. So, with that being said, I wanted to kind of cut off there, and the reason why is where I said that I wanted to get your thoughts on was I wanted to get your thoughts on. So this year there's been 6 races, and Tyler Reddick has now won 4 of the 6. Now Tyler Reddick is a driver of Michael Jordan's. Okay, so before this season, Tyler Reddick has only won 12 races in his career. Now, it was last year, about a year and a half ago. There was actually a lawsuit that was filed between Michael Jordan and NASCAR, and then Jordan ended up winning. What the conclusion was, what the outcome was, they never said what like what people were getting out of it. So with that being said, now that people are saying that Reddick has only won 12 races in his whole career, now he's won 4 this year of the 6. Now people are talking about how NASCAR's fixed, and that NASCAR's allowing Tyler Reddick to actually win these races because he's a driver of Michael Jordan. So, what is your thoughts on this?
A NASCAR being fixed. Well, Jimmy Johnson won how many times in a row?
Right? No, I get it.
Was it fixed then?
Right, and when you see the old guy, when you see like Jimmy Johnson, when he used to win races, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, and don't forget about King Petty. Uh, when Petty used to win a lot of races, and Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch. Now all of a sudden it's fixed because it's a driver of well, I wouldn't say it's because of the driver of Michael Jordan, but they're saying because the outcome of the lawsuit, that's why they're saying that Tyler Reddick is now winning these races instead of giving him credit for just having a good season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not into the whole sports are fixed. We all know. The outcomes in wrestling are already
Mm-hmm.
aforementioned, but come on, this is people sitting there watching that have nothing better to do.
Correct. Yeah, I I definitely agree with you because after he won, people who were not believing it before were now like, "Yep, I'm starting to believe that is now fixed." I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to go that far. Like, it is the most ridiculous thing. Um, he's just having a good year. Okay, he's had a very very fast car since the first race of the season, and I guarantee this is not going to be his last win. I guarantee he's going to win a couple more this year, and then it's going to keep going. However, if another driver won, 4 of 6 races, there wouldn't be that big of a thing that was going on. But
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, we haven't had in NASCAR history where a guy's had a good season, like one good year.
We
Obviously,
have
we have is my point, right? That's my
Yeah,
point. Like
yeah,
we have.
we have. I just think that the biggest thing is that people are talking about is because this year's the first year ever that a driver's won 3 consecutive races, and then they're talking about how okay he's won 4 of 6 when he's only won 12 races in his whole entire career, and I'm like, so you know what? It's okay for a driver to have a good year. Maybe he's improved as a driver.
Uh, it's it's armchair wannabe race car drivers that are making those claims.
Yep. All right. So, to finish up, like I said, I just wanted to do a quick recap, kind of get your thoughts on that. And then our current standings, of course, we have Tyler Reddick currently in first place. He's got 325 points because he has 4 wins. In second place, we have Ryan Blaney at 230 points with 1 win. Bubba Wallace has 205 points. He hasn't won any races at all this year, but he's got 4 top 10 finishes, and he leads all drivers with 60 stage points. And then you have Denny Hamlin. I know you know that name with Denny Hamlin. He's got 203 points, and he has 1 win this season. And then rounding out the top 5 is Chase Elliott with 194 points. Yeah, he doesn't have any wins yet, but he's got 2 top 5 finishes. So I'm definitely looking forward as the season goes on. Uh, the race is going to ramp up more. They're going to start to be more competitive, and I can't wait for the next one. All right, so thank you for that little recap of the Goodyear 400 there. Okay, so our next topic, we're going to talk about the 65 game minimum in the NBA. So the only, one reason why we're really talking about this, um, is that because we know that NBA for several years they have this thing to where players say, "Oh, I need rest days." So you have these guys who play, 3 or 4 games in a row, and then they choose to go ahead and take a rest day. Now, when they decide to take this rest day, people make it a big deal by saying, you know what, they shouldn't take rest days. They should play like the old days, to where you saw all these players playing, consecutive games in a row. Which I truly agree with that. It should be like that. So now what the NBA has done is they're saying you have to have a 65 game minimum to basically qualify for any of the end of the year awards. My question is this though. Now, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay to where if you have rest days and you're sitting out because you're trying to rest your body and you're missing, 20 games a year to rest or whatever, I'm okay with that. However, let's say you've played 60 games, 61 games, 62 games. Now all of a sudden you end up with an injury, and now you have a couple weeks left in the season. Now that injury is going to put you out until the playoffs start if you make the playoffs. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like if you're around that many games and then you get hurt, should that 65 game minimum actually count?
Well, it's I, I get the controversy in that. I think my issue is um what are we gonna do to really know? Um, I guess my point is, what if you got a guy that is so far ahead of everyone else for the MVP, comes down to 18 games left, and he wants to rest before the playoffs. You're telling me he can't come up with some nagging injury that he's had all year so he can sit down and say he's hurt for the rest of the season?
Yeah, so put this into context exactly where I'm coming from with this. Okay. So Cade Cunningham, he's had a phenomenal year. He's been in the top 3 for the MVP race all season. He's played in 61 games. He's 4 short. The other day, he got diagnosed with a collapsed lung. And now he's out for at least 2 weeks. And it's debatable on whether or not he's going to make it back by the time the season ends. So he may not make it to that 65 games. So in a case like this, do you think that 65 games should count?
I mean, it's tough to say, but is he going to win MVP? Like, is it hands down that he's going to win it?
No, but he's been top 3 all season is the thing.
Okay.
So,
So he finishes what, third or fourth?
yeah.
Then it's a non-issue.
If they would
So,
even
so let
allow him to finish. Yeah,
right.
go for it.
So allow them to vote. Allow the vote to happen. He finishes third or fourth, then we're not even having a conversation about it.
Yeah, now what happens? Now I'm just saying, for instance, what happens if they come out and says, "Yeah, he's deserved it, but we're not going to give him number 1 because he hasn't reached that 65 games."
I mean, that's a possibility that could happen, right? I think it's a tough thing. I think it's a tough thing to see, but I think if you're going to make a rule, you have to stick with the rule. Unfortunately, I just think I think you have to.
Which I'm not saying that I disagree with you on that piece a little bit. I just think that sometimes there has to be a little bit of leeway, only because you think about it and you think there's just a few players that kind of ruin it for everybody if you truly think about it. Because back then, would you ever see a Michael Jordan? Would you ever see a Kobe Bryant? Would you see any of these guys being like, "Oh, I've played four consecutive games, so I need to take a rest day"?
No, you wouldn't.
No, no,
Plain and simple. Listen, we all know that Charles Barkley is a dumbass sometimes, and he says some stupid stuff. But the guy makes a good point when it comes to the load management bullshit that the NFL that the NBA does. Like, he's like, load management. You're paid millions of dollars to play a children's game, and you can't go out and play every night.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember nights to where um, there was a season to where the Lakers had like 18 wins and Kobe Bryant, and it was like the third to final game, and Kobe Bryant had a freaking ice pack on his shoulder, ice pack on his knee, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're going out there and playing." Kobe's like, "Yeah, I'm playing. The fans are paying to see us play. Yeah, I'm going out there and playing. I don't care that we have 18 wins. Yes, I'm hurting, but guess what? I'm going out to play." And
Well,
that's
not. I mean, that tells you the way it is. Unfortunately, it's not only the NBA; it's across all sports now. Um, it's not what it used to be. Uh, Guys that went out and played hurt all the time, they did it because they knew those hardworking fans that paid their hardworking money to come and see them. That's what they wanted to see, and now they don't care as much.
I think, but I think in this case though, the only sport that you have to go, yeah, but is kind of when you look at the NFL and players can't play with certain injuries. because of how the game is played. And if they have a concussion and stuff, they they can't play there. Back then, yeah, the NFL absolutely you would have a concussion, they would let you go back in and play. But because of lawsuits and things like that, the
There you
NFL,
go. I'm glad you hit on that because
yeah,
it's what you brought up with the last one. It's a couple of people that ruined it for everyone else. It's those couple of former players that were like, you didn't tell me I could get a concussion from playing football, and I'm stupid enough to not figure that out. So I'm going to sue you because you didn't tell me about that. And now you get your head hit, and you're like, oh, maybe I can't play the next game. And then you're out for 2 weeks.
yeah, and so in the NFL, that's exactly what happened. If you think about it, the NBA is kind of the same way. You have those players that took advantage of load management. And now they're like, "Oh, I have to save my body for the playoffs because I have to make sure that I'm healthy enough."
Now, speaking of that, was funny. Everyone knows I'm a big San Antonio fan, and everyone's like, "Oh, this load management started with Popovich and Tim Duncan back in like 2010." First off, Duncan missed less than 100 games in a 19 season career.
Right?
You're so no, it was like he might have taken a game off here or there for a nagging injury, but he wasn't just taking a night off to take a night off. He took a night off when he's like, you know what, my hamstring's not the best, or my ankle's hurting, or my wrist is hurting, or whatever. And we already have 60 wins and we've locked up the first seed. What's the point of me playing in that 80th game of the season or not? And that's a completely different situation.
No, it definitely is. But that's what I'm saying now. You see guys like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, all these guys who want to sit out because they want to rest their body. And so it's that to me is why the game has changed so much. And so, I think when we talk about like unbeatable, unbreakable like records, okay? And I think about, you know, uh like consecutive games played. You look at Cal Ripken Jr. in baseball. That consecutive games record will never be broke. Over 2,000 games, that will never be broke. I don't see that happening.
And who
And
the
then
closest is right now, by the way?
Matt Matt Olson.
At 811.
Yeah. And so he still has a
So they
long
put
ways
it
to
into
go.
perspective. It basically has to be 1,800 games. So he would have to play the next 12 seasons every single day, and he's 30 years old.
Yeah, so that's like one of those streaks that it's like, are they gonna really touch it? Probably not. And then you look at the NFL side, Brett Favre streak, the Iron Man streak. I don't think that record is gonna be touched either.
No. I mean, guys don't make it through a full season almost anymore.
The closest one that I recall was on the way there. There was Philip Rivers and there was Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Those two.
And if you're talking straight quarterbacks, a quarterback is never going to do it. A quarterback's never going to get close again, ever.
Yeah, yeah, they won't.
Now, a kicker might.
I could agree with. Yeah, so a kicker, um, you
A long
might,
snapper.
yeah, and you very well might see possibly an offensive lineman, possibly,
Sure.
um, a punter, kicker, long snapper, possibly an offensive lineman. But quarterbacks, no, no way. Now, is that too? Is that the complete fault of theirs? No, because how the rules have kind of changed. That's the that's the difference there. Is that the rules that the rules in the NFL has changed. But if you look at the NBA, the rules haven't changed there. It's just the teams that are choosing to sit their players, and a player is choosing to sit out. That is the big difference when you look at the NFL and the NBA with the games that are played and people actually sitting out in those games.
I agree. Yeah, the other thing that changed in the NBA is super teams.
Yeah.
Super teams. I remember candidly an interview with Reggie Miller, and he was talking about in the '90s. They asked him, "Well, what would you done? What would you have done if Michael Jordan asked you to join the Bulls?" And his exact answer was, "I would have told him that. I would have told him to f off, and I'll see you in Indiana in 3 weeks."
Yeah. Because Reggie Miller did not want to be any part of super teams at all.
Yeah, and no one did back then. That wasn't the thing. Like you won because you earned it.
It's weird because when you talk about the super teams, like I know people talk about how Michael Jordan's Bulls were considered a super team. And I was like, they weren't, in my opinion, they weren't really a super team. Okay. Like, I get that they were good. They were good when Jordan wasn't there, but they weren't good enough to win the finals when Jordan was not there. I will
Yeah,
say,
was
oh,
Pippen good in Portland?
I mean, he wasn't stellar. He was decent, but I wouldn't say he was like a superstar.
Right, that's my point. Was Rodman good anywhere else he played? I mean, Rodman was always solid, but he was never a scorer, right? He had to have someone else score.
No, but I will say this about Rodman. The one thing I will say about that guy is Rodman to me was the most underrated Bulls player that was not talked about on that team.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And he knew his job. He was in an interview with Charles Barkley, and he asked him like, "Well, did you just never want to score, or did Michael not let you, or what was the deal?" He's like, "In one game, I took 4 shots in the first quarter, and I missed all of them. Michael looked at me on the bench and said, 'What the f- are you doing? You're here to rebound.'" He's like, "I went out the rest of the game and I had 31 rebounds the rest of the game because I got what my job was."
Yeah, and so it's funny though too because when you think about like Rodman and the interviews that even Shaq had, Shaq even mentioned how it was a nightmare playing against him.
Yeah.
Rodman was just a force, a force at the glass. So I don't know if you ever heard the story about when they were doing. I believe he was in San Antonio, and they were doing warm ups, and Rodman was underneath the basket, and his teammates are like, "What's he doing?" They're like, "This is." They're like, "Yeah, this guy's definitely odd. Like I get it." So they walk up to him, and they're like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be a part of layups here." He's like, "Yeah, do you know when you shoot, your ball spins three times?" And he's like, "What the heck are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah." So Rodman was actually sitting there and counting the rotations on the ball when they bounced off the backboard. That's when he knew where the ball was going to be, and that's how he knew where to be every time, because
Yeah.
he would count the rotations of the basketball. If that's not like a defensive genius right there in your mind,
100%.
and so there was like this thing today to where people were talking about Draymond Green being a great rebounder, a great defender, and they were comparing him to Rodman, and even Draymond Green was telling Rodman that he would take him to school, and Rodman's like, no, no, Rodman, he's like Green would not have a chance against me on the boards.
Well, they asked Jordan if he thought his Bulls could beat the last Olympic team that we had that won gold. And he said, it'd probably be a really close game. But again, the Bulls of the 90s, we are almost 60 years old.
right, right. Well, so Rodman had that interview too, to where they were asking him, when they were asking him about being like, hey, could you beat the Warriors team when Kevin Durant and that was there, and Rodman's like, yeah, just just me, Pippen, and Jordan. We got it. We're fine. I'm thinking. I'm
Yeah,
like, what? I'm like, damn. Talk about like confidence. I know Rodman is an interesting dude. I get it, and so I know the off the court stuff was interesting, but Rodman was like that dude. Rodman was definitely the driving force there.
for sure.
Um, yeah, I know we got a little bit off topic, but I know that the nostalgia part of talking about the old NBA, that always like fascinates us the most. So that's where we end up getting off topic, because we talk about the current, and then we go back and we're like, yep, that's it, right there. Old school basketball is definitely the way to go. Old school NBA. Um, All right, so going into our next part, we were going to do a recap of current March Madness. So, the interesting thing about March Madness this year, and agree with me or not, J Mac, that's okay. I think, to me, March Madness this year has been a little underwhelming, and the only reason I'm saying that is because when you look at the upsets, there's really only been 3 of them so far that's happened. You had High Point, who beat my Badgers. I get it. 12 beat a 5, but that's something that you typically see every year. You usually always see a 12 beat a 5. It's common. And then you had number 11 Texas beat number 3 Gonzaga. That was an upset. And then you had number 9 Iowa actually knock off number 1 Florida. So that to me was probably the biggest upset. So my bracket was already busted when Wisconsin lost, and it was definitely busted after Florida lost. So, J Mac, your takeaway so far.
Well, so I hadn't really thought of this, but I had a friend that I know that is actually going to school to be an engineer, and he sat down and calculated what your chances are of getting a bracket 100% correct from the first game to the last game. And that number was a number I've never even heard in my life. It was 1 in 38 gazillion. Anyone want to know what gazillion is? That's 12 zeros. By the way, that means you have a better chance. According to his calculations, you have a better chance of winning the Powerball twice from the same store in the same month than getting a bracket correct from beginning to end.
Well, yeah, because the biggest thing about the brackets and getting it right from the end is you're gonna have upsets every year, and that's where it's hard to predict, because it in all honesty, if somebody comes in, if somebody comes up to you, J Max, so when Florida Gulf Coast as a 15 seed won their game, when they won their game, I believe it was against Virginia, when they won and knocked off the 2 seed. If somebody
Villanova.
came, yeah, Villanova. So if they came to you and said, "Oh yeah, I had Florida Gulf Coast winning as a 15 seed," what would your actually reaction at that be?
In which bracket that you filled out, because I know that I fill out 4 or 5 brackets every year. I go all favorites, all underdogs. One I think is really going to happen, and then a mix of both. So I guess it's 4. But I fill out 4 brackets every year. Um, so I would ask him which bracket it was.
Yeah. So how many times when you do a bracket every year, how many times have you actually chose a 15 seed or a 16 seed to actually win?
I think I picked a 15 seed once, and that was because I'm a UConn guy, and I always have been in college basketball. And anytime a Big East school is ahead of us in the seedings, I always root for them to lose. So I believe that year it was a Big East school that was in the 2 seed. Now I'm like, well, I got to have them lose because I don't want to face them in the next round. And yeah, that was the only time I've ever picked a 15 seed.
Yeah, I I never have picked a 15 seed or a 16 seed because that to me is like extremely hard to look at the 15 seed or the 16 seed and be like, "Yep, this is the 15 seed. I know they're going to win." The only way that I could potentially see it is if I'm like, "Oh, a major injury happens."
Yeah.
Right before the tournament.
If
Other than
anyone's
that, I don't really see it.
if anyone's curious if I was close, I wasn't. Um, I believe that was the year that um, Villanova was in the 2 seed. Another year that they were in the 2 seed, and I think they beat the 15 seed, which was like Winthrop or something. And I just remember they beat Winthrop by like 41 points, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad I picked that game because I was close at least.
right, right, close. Yeah, but kind of going back, like we were talking about this year a little bit. Do you feel like that March Madness this year is kind of underwhelmed just a little bit?
I mean, a little bit. There's been some close games down to the end. The Duke game in the first round was pretty exciting. Maybe that was the second round, but I mean, there was a buzzer beater by Duke, and then, well, a last second shot by who was it they were playing? Um, Sorry, I can't remember. But they were playing, and they hit a shot with like 2.5 seconds left, and then Duke hit. Was it Duke? It might not have been Duke.
Duke, no, because Duke actually blew out TCU.
Yeah, it wasn't that. But no, there was a game going on. Now I feel bad because I don't know the names of the teams, but there was a game going on that one team hit a shot with 2.5 seconds left. The other team hit a buzzer beater to tie it. Then they went to overtime, and then they ran away with it in overtime. But that was pretty. That was an exciting game all the way to the end. Um,
Yeah, the two teams, the two games that I believe the game that you are talking about. You might be talking about Nebraska and Vanderbilt.
that sounds right. By the way, congratulations to Nebraska. For finally winning a NCAA tournament game it only took them 87 years.
But not have they only won one, but they've won two.
I know. Um, I mean, why lose at this point? Just keep on winning.
And and I got a buddy of mine that's actually a Iowa fan, and so he was super excited because he's like, Iowa finally made the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So it's so far in your bracket, or I should say your brackets, who did you actually pick to actually win it all?
I pick UConn every year. So
Okay, so
I'm not why lie about it? I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say that I didn't. I picked UConn because I pick them every year. Hey, it's paid off for me like what 5 times. So it's not like I've been wrong every single year.
so if UConn came in as a 9 seed, you would still take them.
Actually, honest to God, the year they won as a 7th seed, I actually picked them to win that year. But I pick them every year, like I said. So, yeah, I could
Well,
tell you. I could tell you how good my bracket's going right now. Um, so far, I do have. If you look in the Eastern Conference in the Sweet 16, I did have Duke and UConn making it there. So I did have Illinois making it there also. So I was only wrong on one team. I actually had Vanderbilt beating Nebraska. So, um, but I got 3 out of 4 in the East. That's about where my bracket goes as far as how good it was. Because I
okay.
didn't pick well on the rest of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually had Florida at least going to the Elite Eight. I actually didn't have them already losing, so that that killed my bracket. Um, I will say on your side of things though, UConn, they're playing a very tough Michigan State team. As much as I hate Michigan State, I hate Michigan State. Being a Badger fan, I do not like Michigan State, but I do have to say they are a good team. Of obviously they're not as good as Michigan, but Michigan State is still not a bad team.
No, it'll be a good game for sure.
So who did you have UConn actually playing in the championship?
Yeah, the funny thing about that,
The funny
um,
thing about
yeah, the funny thing about that is I had UConn actually playing Wisconsin in the championship. I know that's nuts, but
what
that is what I had. Yes.
that that is crazy. Me being a Badger fan, I couldn't do that. I couldn't put them in the championship because I'm like,
Well, I
no.
had them in the Final Four against Michigan, and I had them beating Michigan. So
That is crazy. Um, to me, and I really hate it because I am not I'm not I don't like Duke because Duke's like one of those teams that it's like Duke is basically always good, but I actually kept it simple and easy, and I went Duke in Purdue actually in the championship.
Purdue's a good team.
Um, I'm really hoping because my bracket is already busted, so I am actually okay with it if Duke does not make the championship game. I will be okay with that. Just me being not liking Duke and seeing them there's so much. I'm kind of done with Duke, but um, when I do my bracket, I try not to be biased. And I try not to look at teams and go, I don't like this team, so I'm gonna have them lose and things like that. But I know J Mac, you're kind of different when it comes to that because even when we did our NFL pick'ems, you would still you're like, nope, I won't ever pick that team.
Nope, never. I mean, you could literally have the Lions that were 0-16, 0-15 going against 15-0 team, and if the Cowboys or the Raiders were 15-0, they ain't winning. Like I can't pick them to win.
So then
And
in that
Chicago,
case,
I'll never pick Chicago to win.
in March Madness, who's that one team that you will never ever pick?
That I'll never pick to win a game,
Yeah,
no matter what seed they're at.
no matter what seed they're at.
I mean that's tough. but it probably comes down to really to two teams. And for me, it's North Carolina is one of them. I can't pick North Carolina to ever win, no matter what seed they are. Uh, yes, even if they're one seed, I'd probably pick the 16. Uh, North Carolina's one, and Villanova's the other one. Villanova's a long-standing rival with UConn from the Big East, and I can't pick Villanova to ever win.
Mine is easy. I will never, ever, ever pick Ohio State.
Yeah,
As with me being a Badger fan, I can't do it. I cannot stand Ohio State. I will never, ever, ever pick them to win a game, and I will not pick them to ever win a championship. But with that being said, we're like right there. We're hoping that March Madness is going to end strong, and the last remaining games. I'm really hoping that the last games are really, really close. I want to see a bunch of overtime games and buzzer beaters. That's what I enjoy seeing.
yeah. Hopefully, hopefully we get some good games. The Nebraska Iowa matchup is a pretty good one. It's a 4 seed and a 9 seed. So, um, as we know, Iowa knocked off Florida, so that should be a good game. And I'm really intrigued by Texas Purdue. Um, Texas is an 11 seed, but I think they're better than that. So,
They are. They're a much better team
and the other
than
game I'd watch out for is Tennessee Iowa State. I think it's going to be a good game too.
I just thought it would be kind of funny if because Nebraska finally won uh game like a bracket game. I think it would be funny if they actually made it to like the final four. The
It
first
can happen.
the very very first year that they won a tournament game. All right, so going on to our next one, we wanted to talk a little bit. We wanted to do our officials timeout, segment, which I do have a video for you. I did have this one ready and pulled up and ready to go. Because we kind of the very first segment we had was when they called a roughing the passer on the quarterback. We both agreed that okay, that definitely wasn't a roughing the passer. That definitely wasn't a late hit. Now let's get your thoughts on this one. Oh my god! Oh my god. So the so the question on this one that they had. So
Ouch.
so the question on that one was they're saying a clean hit or no on that.
I'm not gonna lie. He didn't hit him when the ball was like he already had the ball in his possession, and really that's all you have to do on a punt return is give him a chance to catch the ball. I mean, he gave him the room to catch the ball. I mean, that's an old school football hit right there. That's all I'm saying. That is how you used to play football.
Yeah, and I'm saying when
I
you
mean,
look at
bam.
I mean, that,
I mean, honestly, I mean, he might get more than a penalty on that. He might get a charge for manslaughter on that play.
right. That's where as an official, the things you really really got to watch for there is you really really have to look for is he leading with the crown of his helmet when he comes in? Does he leave the ground? Because if he leaves the ground and launches and launches with the crown of his helmet, that's going to be a targeting and then he would be ejected for it. This one, this one's so hard, and the reason why is because you damn well know that if you don't throw a penalty on this one, your fellow official on the sideline to that coach is gonna be
Yeah, I
is
agree with that. Like that coach is gonna have your ass the rest of the game.
because this one, like, it's so hard. Like when you're watching, I know you try not to laugh at a few of these things, but it's like you watch it and you're like, dude, that kid just got freaking, he got destroyed.
I mean,
He got freaking destroyed.
yeah, I
And
don't I don't know what else to say. Like
and what's so hard is when you're watching it, like,
he
see,
doesn't
right,
leap. Like he's on the ground right there, right before he hits him. His foot is on the
well,
ground.
if you look, his foot's, it looks like he's a little bit like off the ground, and he's kind of like, because what I'm looking at is like his foot's a little bit off the ground right there, and he's kind of leaning. It looks like he's leaning over. Um, but it's like the returner just caught the ball too,
Right, he's
and
got the
so
ball right there. That is not catcher interference. That's not fair
it's
catch
no, it's not.
interference
It's
because
not
he
kick
has the
catch
ball.
interference. It's not kick catch interference. The big question about this was that people were debating: was this a clean hit or was this a dirty hit? now, now you can't really tell because it's so fast. Like when he comes in and hits him,
His foot right there is on the ground.
yeah, he didn't launch himself. So it's like when you're watching this, it's like if you really try and break it down. So he's coming in, boom. It's not it.
And
It
he hit him with his shoulder.
his foot's on the ground right there too. His foot is on the ground.
He didn't launch. I mean, that's honestly, that's one of those plays. Even as an official, you see that hit and you're like, oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, you see that, and then in your mind, this is kind of because with me being back judge a lot. This is typically where I'm at. I'm usually watching. I'm watching the returner. I'm watching the gunners. I'm watching all that as they're coming down. When I'm in this position right here, that to me, when I'm watching, you're like in your mind, you're like, it looked completely clean. You're like, but what happens if I don't throw a penalty here for like unnecessary roughness? You you know that you might hear it, but then you don't want to throw a penalty flag because it's like it's almost like a clean hit.
I think it's a clean hit. I'm just being honest. I mean, it's a decleater for sure.
Yeah, it's
Like if they're playing in Seattle, that kid woke up in Tacoma.
right. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he was feeling it after that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he definitely had to be feeling that one because if you look like as he's coming down, when he catches it right there, like he has it right there. That's where I'm looking at that going. How do you expect the gunner to stop?
He can't stop.
He's legit about 2 yards away, and that's where it's like he did not call for a fair catch. So it's it's bam. And then you saw the kid just laying there.
Yeah,
So so I think we're both in agreement there that it looks like it looked like a clean hit. From my angle, it looked like an absolute clean hit.
Being honest, I think what I'm doing in this situation, if it's me, I'm throwing the flag,
And then
and
talking
then
about it.
and then I'm getting in the conference, and then everyone's gonna be like, "What'd you see?" You're like, "I have no idea. It just looked like a penalty. I don't know."
It just looks so bad. And that's where you hope that others saw it too, so they can kind of get the right angle with it. To
That,
hope,
or they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna call it off." Okay, but at least I threw the flag.
yeah, there's certain penalties, there's certain plays that once you throw a flag, you're like, oh, I need to throw a flag on it because if we don't, it's gonna look bad. But if we throw a flag, at least we can talk about it and then pick it up. If it's not a flag.
Yeah,
And that's one of the ones that I feel sorry for him because I think that kid got basically killed. But yeah, yeah, he's definitely feeling that one in the morning.
for sure.
All right, going on to our final segment of the night. This is kind of a fun segment that J Mac and I decided. We're like, hey, let's. So I think we agreed we're gonna do this segment once a month, and this segment is called "What's That Game?" And so basically, with "What's That Game," we talk about some kind of maybe oddball sport that a lot of people don't know is out there. And so the one sport that I have, J Mac, that I was gonna mention about, maybe it's something you've seen. I'm sure you have. Um, but it kind of caught my attention so I kind of started watching it a little bit when I would see little clips of it. But it's actually foot golf.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something about it. Some of these things, I'm just like, these people have nothing better to do with their times than to try to invent some new sport. Um, some of them work and some of them don't. Let's say that.
The but the foot golf, when I saw that actually looked kind of fun because it's so I don't know if you actually saw it, but they make the hole wider
Yeah,
and then you have to kick the soccer ball inside.
yeah, I saw it. I mean, good thing you're kicking a soccer ball. Could you imagine kicking a golf ball?
Oh my god! Yeah, that was
I'm gonna make it fun though. And what if you put like NFL element into it, and then someone had to throw you the golf ball, you had to catch it and then kick it while someone was coming in to block it over the top of you?
right. That would be kind of fun. That would be kind of fun.
We just
Um,
invented a sport, I think.
yeah, that's right. Invented another sport. All right. So J Mac, what's the sport that you had?
There's so many, and I look up these just because I think they're fun to look up and they're funny to talk about. Um, the one, so the first time I saw this was I was 19 years old working in the sporting goods department of at a Walmart, and at that time Ace would have been like what, high school, maybe high
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Um, anyway, so I saw this thing called washer toss, and
Oh, yes, I love that game.
I'm like, what in the hell? We actually took washers now, and we're just tossing them into a tub. And we were charging like $25 for this game, and I'm like, man, someone's getting rich off this scam right here. Um, it's really interesting though. It's a really interesting game when you start playing it because you got different weighted washers, and you're trying to throw them into different. I mean, so washer toss would be mine. It's not tossing a washer like a clothes washer. It's like the little washers, and you're tossing those. But it's really interesting game. The point system is a lot like cornhole and horseshoes. Uh, so it's something that I was like, man, this is never going to take off. It took off. I saw that there was a tournament the other day with like corporate sponsors, and I'm like, all right, first off, how high were those guys at the corporate office when you walked in there and you're like, hey man, we got this idea. We're gonna put on a washer toss tournament. Do you want to be a corporate sponsor?
Right. And it's like, okay, we're gonna spend uh $25 a set. When, hold on here, I bet we can go make our own.
Yeah, I'm sure I have a bunch of different weighted washers, and I know I have a couple tubs I could put together with a hole in the middle.
Yeah, it really wouldn't be that difficult to make your own.
But that would be mine, washer toss. Yeah.
But that game actually wasn't that bad. That game was
No, it's
actually
just
kind of fun.
interesting the first time you see it. That's all.
It is, yeah. No, it is, and so that's why I picked the like the soccer golf too, because, or like the foot golf, or whatever they call it, because it's like one of those interesting things that you're like, how, like, can you imagine being on a par four and having to try and kick the ball as far as you possibly can, and
You know?
it's like a par four, like 300 yards, like that's so far to try and kick a ball. Like, you'd have to have the leg strength like crazy on that.
Well, on this next one, if you know, the next thing I'm going to say, if you know, you know. Could you imagine playing that with Unk?
Oh, right, yeah. Right.
I
That's
mean,
like,
he turned a par four into a par 15.
oh, right, yeah. Right. Well, so if you, yeah, because if you're thinking about like actual golf too, and you know the guy I'm talking about, Mr. Randy, that he's the only guy that I know that actually hit a golf ball backwards.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is just a little segment that we kind of wanted to talk about, and we're going to come up with one once a month. You'll see these various games that we're going to talk about. Some very interesting games that are coming down the pipeline that we're going to that we're going to talk about. My cat right now is going freaking crazy in the background. So, so there you go. All right, J Mac, we're almost at that hour mark. Did you have any final thoughts?
Nope. Jam packed next week. I think I'm umpiring every day of the week next week. So we'll find a day to do this. I mean, I think Monday's probably fine. It's a couple early games, but yeah, it's the season.
All right, and then well, J Mac hopped off here. He'll probably be back on here pretty soon. But we definitely want to thank everybody for watching. It's kind of been a very, very fun episode. So thank you all for watching. We're just back now, getting in the groove for this, so we will be able to pick up more, and we'll have some banging topics for you as it comes up. And J Mac is back there. There,
Sorry, I
there.
don't know. Just my that just kicked me out and went blank and then came right back up. So I have no idea what the hell that was. Me and technology, I guess that's what that is. Anyway, I was just saying it's the season. It's the season where I'm umpiring every day. You get out, and if you can, they always need help at the fields. Anyone is softball, baseball, soccer, any of it that's going on in the spring, track. Um, they always need help. Volunteer to help. You get the and you get the best seat in the house. So, they need people help raking fields and being out there. Soccer, they need refs. Track, they need spotters for throws and jumps and stuff. So, yeah, get out and help if you can, if you're able.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and we will definitely see you next time for another episode of Sports Minute. With that, we hope everybody has a fantastic night, and we will see you soon.